What's up guys, today we're doing a bit of a different video in comparison to my usual content. As you might know, usually I just talk about Fortnite, but today we're talking about a topic that affects not only Fortnite but also other games like COD, Black Ops 6 right here, which is the gameplay you're seeing in the background, but also other shooters as well, like Apex or, you know, all these other shooters. Basically, what we're talking about today is SBMM, skill-based matchmaking. Probably you already know what it is, but I'm gonna explain it very simply, very briefly, so that even those people that don't know what it is yet can understand. SBMM, or skill-based matchmaking, basically means that in modern shooters like Fortnite, like Black Ops 6 for example, you're gonna be matched with other players of similar skill level. This is technically to create more fairness in their matches, but we're gonna talk about today why I think it's bullshit. It basically destroys the fun that you can have in your multiplayer matches, and there's a bunch of other reasons that we're gonna talk about why I personally don't like it. When it comes to the gameplay you're seeing in the background, this is me just playing some Black Ops 6. This was very much towards the beginning of the game, so I'm still pretty low level. I didn't have the good streaks yet. So for example, I wasn't using a hater, or I think harp it's called in this COD. And I went on a nice kill streak. No nuke unfortunately, but then again I didn't have a harp. This lobby was a normal SBMM lobby. I just got a little lucky because this was not the hardest lobby, but it also wasn't a bad lobby. Because people actually were shooting back. And I did die a couple of times, especially towards the end. But all in all, I think it's a pretty good gameplay for the background. So let's talk about COD. Call of Duty for me has always been more of a casual shooter. I know that there is a competitive scene and a lot of people like to sweat in Call of Duty. But in my opinion, the gameplay we have in Call of Duty, especially in modern Call of Duties, caters more towards a casual, run and gun, arcade type playstyle. Personally, I don't really enjoy sweating like crazy in Call of Duty. It's just something I don't really like. And given the strong SBMM we have nowadays in COD, that's probably the main reason why I've not been playing it that much as I have in the past. For example, Black Ops 4 is a game that I've played a lot. I was also Prestige Master in that game. I had Dark Matter in that game. Nowadays, I just don't really enjoy COD that much anymore, and I don't play it that much anymore. The problem now is that SBMM doesn't care about that. SBMM only sees me as a above average player. You can see my stats right here. These are my all-time stats from the game. Quick little side note, I got that 36 kill streak in a 2-boxing bot lobby, so my highest streak actually is more something like 25, but other than that one time where I got that 36 kill streak, I basically just played normal SBMM lobbies, and these are my stats. So as you can see, I'm definitely no pro. There's definitely a ton of better players than me, but I'm also no noob. I'm probably a pretty good above average player, even though I don't play that much. And that's simply because I've been playing shooters ever since I was like 10. I'm 23 now, so that's like 13 years. So I am bound to not suck at this game. However, not playing this game every day also means that I am not like completely aware of everything that's going on in the game. I have no clue about the meta. I don't know the new maps. I don't know exactly, all the new changes, all that kind of stuff. But because of my stats, I get put into lobbies with players that play this game every single freaking day. I've already played against Prestige Masters and I'm like Prestige 1, I think. And just generally speaking, most of the time the players that I face are a higher level than I am. So basically, SBMM, all it does for me is it bases my matchmaking on my stats, and my stats are way better than the player I actually am, which means I'm facing demons all the time while I myself am just kind of like casually sweating. We're switching to the Fortnite gameplay in the background now. This is not a particularly crazy gameplay, it's just a win I got in, I think it was like Elite Ranked or something. But I'm gonna finish talking about COD for a second. Basically, my main problem with COD for me personally is that I'm just not that good of a player, but because of the years of experience I have in multiplayer shooters, my stats are pretty good and I get put into lobbies with players that are absolutely better than me. But let's talk about Fortnite now. I'm also going to show you all my stats, my playtime, my best ranks. I'm also going to show you my last best cash cup placement, just so you know how good of a player I am in Fortnite, and let's just say I am like 1,000 times better in Fortnite than I am in COD or any other shooter. And I think Fortnite is a good example for me personally, because as you can see in the background, this is like an elite ranked lobby, and I also frequently get into Unreal lobbies, so I enjoy playing sweaty from time to time. I enjoy playing cups too. I enjoy going for sweaty gameplays a lot. But I don't want to have to do that all the time. We're going to talk about that in a second. So don't get me wrong. This is not me saying I want to get into bot lobbies, in COD drop nukes all the time, in Fortnite drop 20 bombs all the time. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that SBMM is punishing me way too hard. And I think the main reason, or the main thing I don't understand, is why there even is a rank mode both in COD as well as in Fortnite when we have SBMM in the so-called public playlist. Because that's the thing, SBMM or ranked modes in that sense are nothing new. They've been around for ages, alright? The difference only is, back in the day, players could choose, do I want to play a playlist with a open matchmaking, the so-called public playlist, or do I want to play a playlist with skill-based matchmaking, which was the ranked playlist? And that existed in basically every shooter ever, also in COD, and it exists in Fortnite too. So basically my main question just is, why do we even have ranked modes when honestly I'm pretty much getting more or less the same lobbies as in Unreal in my public matches than I am, well, actually playing in Unreal. And I'm also wondering, do we actually need SBMM? There was no SBMM in older games, like for example Black Ops 4, which is a game I played a lot. Some people say there was SBMM in there, but if it was 1,000 times weaker than what we have nowadays. But I'm just wondering, why do we need it? Because the main argument is that newer players or noobs or just worse players don't want to fight the crazy sweats, and I can kind of understand that to a certain degree. But is it really that bad that a player that is objectively better than another player wins against that player? In my opinion, that's just the way it works, no? But then the main point that people make, and this is also the main point why companies keep implementing SBMM into their games, is that newer players are gonna leave the game because they're getting absolutely destroyed by the better players, by the players that have been playing for a while. And I'm just asking myself, is that really the case? Because when I started out playing shooters, I was absolutely ass. I remember that I think the first shooter that I really actually played was Battlefield 4 back in the day, and I sucked ass, alright? I was negative every single game. But I enjoyed just getting better and kind of working myself up towards a positive KD and towards just being a better player. And that was the fun, just getting better and just not getting demolished every single match. And I didn't quit the game. I've been playing for, as I said, 13 years now, and I've been trying out new games, I've been sticking to the games I like, and so on and so forth. So I'm really wondering, are people actually quitting because of getting destroyed by other players? I would say not, because bad players don't really care that much about their performance anyways. They just want to have fun and maybe get a little better, and that's it. Honestly, Fortnite, in my opinion, is a bit of an exception, simply because it is such a complex game, and maybe a little bit of SBMM is good to kind of protect the players that have just started out, because the difference between a Fortnite and, for example, a COD is that in Call of Duty, yes, the better player is usually gonna get the worst player, but at least the worst player technically still has a chance to get the better player. In my opinion, if you have a relatively bad player in Fortnite that doesn't really know how to build, and then you have someone who's been playing the game for a while, like me, for example, that does know how to build properly, how to do piece control, all that kind of stuff, the worst player basically stands no chance. Very often, the worst player is not even going to be able to hit the good player. So maybe a little bit of SBMM is necessary in Fortnite at least. And this directly leads me to my next point, which in my opinion is the most important one. And that is that I feel like SBMM has ruined my gaming friendships. So I'm not talking about actually not seeing these friends anymore, but at least I can't play video games with them anymore. At least no multiplayer shooters. So let me give you two examples here. The first one is something that happened very recently, where, you know, the OG game mode came out, and one of my friends from back in the day that actually used to play Fortnite during the OG times said to me, alright, let's play this again, let's try it out, let's have a little fun, let's reminisce in the good old times of OG Fortnite. The problem now was that he's not been playing the game for literal years, while I've been grinding during all those years, and thus I'm way better than him, and the difference between our skill level is just huge. However, for some reason, SBMM didn't even recognize him as a completely new and returning player, or at least it didn't give a shit, because we got exactly the same lobbies that I would get in solos, basically meaning that he, as a player that hasn't played in years, had to play against other players that were super freaking sweaty. For him, this obviously wasn't fun because he literally couldn't get a single kill. And for me, it wasn't fun because I had to play 1v2 against very good players all the time. Honestly, I'm kind of used to it nowadays, but I think it's still kind of stupid. And guess what? We've not been playing ever since that first session. And that was like 1.5 weeks ago or something. And the second and even more egregious example, in my opinion, is that I've been actually playing with another friend for a while, for, you know, sometime a couple of months ago. And he was grinding, he was really trying to improve, he was doing his best to really get up to my level. But because I've been already playing so much more for such a longer amount of time, there was literally no way for him to catch up. And the problem was that SBMM didn't care about that. He was still way worse than me, but he had to fight through the worst possible demon lobbies. And obviously, at some point he said, you know what, fuck it, I'm investing all this time just to get stomped over and over and over again in your lobbies. I'm not having fun, I'm quitting the game. And that's exactly what happened. He's not been playing ever since. Before we get into the conclusion, I just wanted to highlight a couple more other things, more technical things that SBMM causes. Namely, the issues of longer waiting times to get into a match, and the problem that SBMM prioritizes getting you into lobbies with similarly skilled players over you having a good connection, a good ping. So basically, you're waiting longer to get into matches and you have worse connection. This hasn't really been a big problem for me, honestly, but I think it's something I at least wanted to mention briefly right here. So what's a possible solution? For me personally, the best solution would just be to have very little SBMM or maybe even no SBMM in public game modes, and then have the ranked game modes where obviously there is going to be SBMM. Like that, you can choose between wanting to play with or without it. But I can also understand, especially in a game like Fortnite, that you kind of want to protect your beginners. So something you could do is have like a beginner's bracket where maybe players up to a certain level, I'm talking XP level right here, will stay in this beginner's level and only play against other players at this level. And then once they reached a certain level, again XP level, they get into the open matchmaking bracket. Like that, at least we protect the very beginners that have just started out but still have the option to play an open bracket matchmaking. Honestly, I think there's other issues to talk about when talking about SBMM. I might make a follow-up video on this, but for now, these are the main ones that I wanted to talk about. And I think for me personally, and for a lot of other players, the most annoying aspect of SBMM is not being able to play with your friends that just aren't at your skill level. I've basically been playing solo for the last couple of years now, and it's kind of annoying because I feel like playing with friends is so much more fun than playing alone. Obviously, you could look for mates, for example, on Discord, but this is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about being able to play the game you like with your friends. I feel like that's not too much to ask for. So even if they don't remove SBMM, something I would like to see is that they would loosen the SBMM for when I'm playing with friends, because the way it is right now, it's literally unplayable for my friends. For me, it's kind of annoying, but it's still playable. I'm pretty much used to sweating nowadays, so it doesn't really matter to me. But for them, it's literally like they can't get a single kill, and that's obviously no fun. So they should at least loosen the SBMM for when two players that are not at the same skill level play together. This can obviously be abused to do something like two boxing, but honestly, I feel like SBMM is such a broken system that it can always be abused. There's always methods to abuse SBMM to get into easier lobbies, but they just don't work that well with friends, so that's my main problem. And I also don't think that you should have to apply certain methods like VPNs, two boxing second accounts, and so on and so forth, just to be able to have fun with your friends. As I said, there are other things to talk about when talking about SBMM, but I'm gonna leave it at that for today, and I would be interested to hear about your experiences with SBMM. If possible, I would really like to have like a productive discussion in the comments, so please don't just insult each other. Let's talk about this. Let's try to see what different people say, what different opinions there are, and what we can do about it. If you enjoyed this video, check out my YouTube channel and the videos I posted on there. Like this video and subscribe to the channel. And if you want to see me play live, check out my TikTok. There's a bunch of content on there too, and I always live stream on TikTok. So that's all I have to say for today, guys. See you in the next one.